Why would anyone voluntarily go into a dark room, into solitary confinement for X number of days? What is the purpose? And this is what I'm going to try and rationalize for you. Why did I choose to go into a dark room? Why are others choosing? Why have people for millennia been going into dark caves, dark holes, underground sometimes, for up to 7 weeks, perhaps longer? For me, it all started when I first experienced ayahuasca, when I understood what ayahuasca was as a plant medicine. What was ayahuasca doing to me when I drank her? This blend of vine and leaves. Sure, I had an experience, a wonderful experience with a shaman. It brought me through totally different levels of being. One where I shape-shifted into a jaguar and realized the interconnection between all beings. But for me, there was something lacking, there was something missing, because I knew that deep inside of me, I contained everything that I needed to get there. For I am a spiritual being having a human experience, just like us all. Inside of me contains what's outside of me, and vice versa. We are all microcosms of the macrocosm, a macrocosm of the microcosm. We all contain tiny universes in every single little cell of our being. I understand this. I understood this. How could I access that spiritual opening without the ingestion of a plant? Where was it coming from? This DMT, this substance that is now known as the spirit molecule. Many people are taking different substances and chemically altering them or extracting them to try to isolate the DMT and then smoke the DMT, open their brains, open their minds, and fly to outer space for 15 minutes, only to land back in the body harder than before, perhaps longing more for what is out there. And I did a little bit of research on DMT. I was not really interested in smoking it, as I feel that that's a very quick, perhaps too quick for me. Instead, I did a little research, and I found that there is a man known Mantak Chia, who's a great Taoist master, and Mantak Chia has been working with the darkroom for numerous years now, and inviting people into his darkroom for darkroom retreats where they do Taoist practices to connect to their fullest being. Now, Mantak Chia has a book published called The Darkroom Enlightenment, I believe it's called. And there he describes how when we go into darkness, our shutters are turned off. Most of our brain power that's being used to incorporate and integrate the light into a three-dimensional reality, that is rested. Our brain is rested. I've heard yogis say that the eyes take up 60% of the brain power. The moment that we go into this rest state, this hibernation state, our brain begins to create a warehouse, a storehouse of chemicals, of beautiful, beautiful chemicals. And it starts with tryptophan. Tryptophan builds to serotonin, which builds to melatonin, which then builds to pinoline, which comes from the pineal gland. And then when this builds up so much and it starts spilling out, that turns into DMT, the spirit molecule created right here in our own minds. I read this and I was absolutely no way. This exists? We're spending so much time searching for these experiences when it's right inside of us. We just need to silence the mind, go into a dark hole and wait. This made sense to me. Why yogis have been going into caves for forever. There are still some tribes living on this earth that choose children at their birth that they know will be a seer. And they take them to live into dark caves for the first 18, 20 years of their lives without light. And these children begin to learn to see beyond the veil, to see beyond this physical reality. Sure, they're taken outside in certain moons, and pretty sure they eat food. But the ancients have known about this for forever, as far as I know. The Native Americans on Vision Quest would bury each other under the ground, certain depth, in resonance with the heartbeat of Mother Earth, Madre Tierra. And they would go into darkness, into silence, until they received the vision from within. Of course, this fascinated me, and I needed to have this experience in this life, so I could share it with everyone. I could learn the power that I have within my own being and respect that power. Since finding out about this darkroom experience, this technology, I've now been into 2 dark rooms, one in Guatemala, one in Thailand, and I visited 2 others in Mexico, one in Tepoztlan, one in Mazunte. And it is the real deal. It was a humbling experience, and it continues to humble me to this day. The power of darkness. The Tibetans knew of this ritual. They looked for that state, that bardo state in between life and death. That little period, which the Tibetans believe to be 49-day period between one incarnation to the next. And the Tibetans train for many years before going into the darkroom. And when they do go into the darkroom, they go in for 49 days to reach that in-between state. Before going into the darkroom, they study tankas, images of deities, of different aspects of our own being. And when the DMT begins to release, which Mantak is calculated to be between 5 to 12 days of being in darkness, the DMT is fully flowing. The lights have been turned on. The Tibetans begin to see the tankas that they've been studying so rigorously, and they are preparing themselves for the time that they pass. They're experiencing consciously, physically, that space in between death and reincarnation, those 49 days. I will share with you my darkroom experience, but at another time. God bless. Waheguru.